Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. We are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the authors of one of our newest books. This is called How to Be Brave: Self-Healing Tools for Love Warriors. And boy, do I have some love warriors in my Zoom room today. I wanted to just say a couple of thank yous to this group, to the whole group that gathered with me back in May. We were in New York for a really special writers retreat. The authors were invited not only to take part in that, but to then come in and write for one of two book projects that we had going on. And How to Be Brave is one of them. So to all of you, I'm just so grateful that you said yes to this and that we got to spend a little bit of time together. And just over the time of creating this book, it has become extremely apparent to me how important this topic is. So let me introduce these amazing people to you all. So Bradford Tilden is a best-selling author, composer, master crystal healer and sound healer, and universal white time healing teacher who loves planting seeds and creating ripples to bring out the greatness in people. I also want to introduce you to Glenn Schuster, a retired registered nurse and licensed clinical social worker who worked in addiction treatment for 30 plus years and has been himself recovering for 39 years. Jane Ann Guyette is with us. She combines energy healing with hypnosis and hypnotic movement to help clients define and align their intentions for lasting positive change. So, Bradford, you're going to start the party off for us today. Tell me why you said yes to the Brave book.
Absolutely, Laura. First of all, thank you. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be part of your vision, your dream of helping people, and you do that in such a beautiful way. That's a large part of why I said yes. This is my third book with you. I'm chapter 16, Your Brave Spiritual Upgrade, Manifesting Magic During Any Challenging Conversation. And the message I wanted to bring out to people is you can change the world by changing your inner vibration, your expression. People subconsciously are attracted to love, to light, to joy, to peace, and to kindness. And just having those vibrations within you can impact your world. You can change your reality. You can change your circumstances. And so it's my calling to help enlighten people to master their own lives. And this book is a beautiful message of how to be brave in your own life. You have to step forth in your truth and you have to confront, but not for, to fight. It's not a confrontation. It's more of a communication, and a communication where love and light can rise above the fear and the ignorance.
And sometimes that is the more difficult path. Is, it's easy and we are so good at reacting to things, but with awareness, to be able to respond and have communication that actually takes the relationship to another level, right? Tell me more about about how you get there.
I get there through a lot of self-evaluation and awareness and patience and listening. And also, like you said, not reacting. There's once a long time ago, I heard or I read, when someone says something to you, pause and count to 10 in your head before you respond, because that bypasses the initial reaction, which is always integrated or connected to some sort of trigger or defense mechanism from your past that has nothing to do with the present situation. I use the white time healing, which I'm trained and I've been practicing for almost 20 years, as a little, ace up my sleeve to amplify the love and the light that surrounds me, so that the person's field will be immersed in that energy and realize that I'm not a threat. And I think that's the most important thing, is to present and create safety and an open, clear dialogue. And it does take practice. Like any muscle, learning to respond as opposed to react it's something that you just focus on and you work towards every opportunity. Every conversation is an opportunity to respond, not react.
I was thinking similar thoughts just now. Like, these are ninja moves, y'all. Like, and so it takes some time to get to the point where you can pause literally in the moment and do that 10 count. Most of us aren't so good at the pause. We just already have something coming out of our mouths. But so Bradford, you started at somewhere when you began that journey, and you got better and better at that, to the point where you could pause anytime you wanted immediately, so that you would always be setting your own energy up for that love and that light, right? Like, this is the path. What else do you want to tell people who are dabbling on this journey with us?
Everyone is love, and everyone has a spark of divinity within them. And even the people that you might judge, or you might even use the, I don't like the word hate, but people that you think you hate, they have something inside of them that is a reflection of an aspect of you. We are all connected. And when you can forgive the aggressors, and when you can forgive yourself for allowing that experience to manifest and take responsibility, that's really when you can truly come from a place of aligned love and light, is when you take responsibility for everything in your life. Every moment is the universe gifting you what you expect. And so when you know that, you have the power to shape the outcome. And it's kind of like mental gymnastics, spiritual gymnastics, energetic gymnastics, but it's actually the fundamental truth of who we are as human beings, as spiritual beings, manipulating the physical through our thoughts, actions, and emotions.
Thank you for kicking this off so brilliantly. You guys can tell these are not small potatoes conversations we're going to have with this How to Be Brave book. Bradford, thank you for saying yes and for being here today.
Thank you, Laura.
Jane, tell me a little bit about the why behind your yes to this.
Well, thank you, Laura. I wrote chapter 19, and it's called Ecstatic Trance, Healing Rhythmic Movement to Dispel Limiting Beliefs. And I decided to get involved because writing heals. And we are going into an age of change, the age of Aquarius. And I really think that when we do not move our bodies, we don't change, we don't grow. And through movement, hypnotic movement especially, we can pull out some of those things that we've stuffed down into our bodies, our hearts, our minds, our spirit, our soul, and release them, like shake them off. So that's why I got involved. And I was in a previous book called Embody Kind, and that healed me so much just through the writing process. So,
well, thank you for talking about that piece of things, because I'm a fan of this, and one of my main first missions is to help people understand that as a publishing company, we first understand that the writing and the publishing and then the launching and promoting is a healing journey. And so if you're doing this kind of writing, especially writing for other people to read, that can be scary. So that could even be one definition of like how to be brave, is literally deciding that you're going to put your story out loud for other people to read, right? I love therapeutic movement. I love your topic. It's one of the ways I have healed, is by using movement. If somebody is hearing this and they want to dabble, maybe they're not exactly sure where to start. Like, what did that look like for you in the very beginning?
well, actually, I went through an emotional period where I did stuff my emotions down and my feelings. And it got to the point where your body will react. If you don't take care of yourself, your body will take care of itself. And I started having grand mal seizures. And it was almost like when I came out of it, it was over a period of 24 hours that I was completely had no idea where I was, who I was. But when I came out of it, I noticed the only thing I could move was my eyes. And just moving my eyes, I knew was doing something in my brain to heal. It felt like sifting and renewing and restoring. And And then when I moved my eyes, I noticed there was tingling in my fingers, in my toes. And so step by step, and it did take a week, the first time that I had grand mal seizures, to get full movement back. And then I just built on that, starting out walking a block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks, and then miles. And then eventually you heal. It just takes time and energy and movement. So
I'm so glad that you mentioned the eye movement. I've dabbled with EMDR, which is there's eye movement component. We won't get into that right this second because there's a lot there, but you made me realize that if that's all you can move in the beginning, that could be good enough as a start, and that will stimulate more, right? What else, do you want to say anything else about that?
well, it triggers your body, I think. And I think that right now in this world, I looked up a statistic earlier this week. Almost half of our population has mental illness of some sort. So we are stuffing and we are holding things in, and we need to let it go. And this is a time, we've got a full moon coming up. So it's a time of release. So letting go and shaking it off like Taylor Swift, or just maybe even dancing, like turning up the music in your kitchen while you're cooking, or, vacuuming. I put my headphones on when I'm vacuuming and I just move my body and I let it do what it wants to do. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder. I need to put that music on with my dinner time. I got out of my habit of, and I was in a really great habit of doing that. Jane, thank you for saying yes to this and for being here today to share with everyone.
Thank you for inviting me.
Glenn, tell me a little bit about your why behind your chapter.
Well, to be honest, when I first got to the writers' retreat in New York back in May, I was a bit confused, and I thought I was writing in another book, actually.
Uh-oh.
But I had previously written in Shaman Heart Sacred Rebel, and that was a great experience. And you being the publisher, is mostly why I said yes.
Well, I appreciate that. What's the why behind the topic for you in your story?
Well, if I remember correctly, my chapter title was Turning Desperation into Courage. It's easier than you think, or something of that sort.
I think that's pretty close.
I haven't pulled it up because I'm extremely technically challenged. But in the previous book that I wrote in, I found that every chapter in that book was a help to somebody. There was somebody out there that really needed to hear the words in all of those chapters. And I feel the same way about this book. I think there is some help for somebody out there, for many people, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. I feel the same exact way. And I've been feeling the power of this project as we, come to this end of it's always the beginning, but the end where we're launching this beautiful book into the world. And behind it was a question someone asked, or really a statement. One of our authors said, somebody called me brave and I didn't feel brave about this particular situation. So like my definition was different. And when I heard that said, I thought, oh, okay, I get a piece of this is like being brave means something different to everybody. So pulling in all your beautiful, unique voices was really important. Also, having people understand that it can be a small thing or a really big thing that you're being brave about, but that feeling inside of you isn't small, medium, or large. It can be very large, even for this thing that you're labeling is a small deal, about being brave. And my situation was like, You know, for me, just saying I love you was brave, and risking that maybe it wasn't going to be said back to me. And even though that sounds like a small thing, for me inside of my heart, my heart, it was big. It was a big deal. Glenn, anything else you want to tell us about that feeling for you?
Well, I think for me, just the writing in general, it creates a an intense feeling of vulnerability. But as you were saying, just that saying "I love you," you had to be brave to do that. What I've experienced in my life is to have a meaningful relationship, I have to be vulnerable.
Yeah, there's a quote. I'm going to have to quote you on that one. To have a meaningful relationship, we have to be vulnerable. Glenn, thank you for saying yes to this and for helping contribute your beautiful, brave words to this book.
Well, thank you for asking me.
So I got another round with this next question for all of you. Awareness for me is everything. It's the foundation that we stand on when we are vulnerable or brave or anywhere else we show up in the world. And we connect in that practice of awareness. We all do it in so many different wonderful ways. If you peeked in my window, how I would be connecting with that. What are we connecting to? We're connecting with our intuition. We're connecting with something higher than ourselves. We're connecting with ourself, the essence of ourselves, right? Whatever this means to you. If you peeked in my window, I would have my notebook and pen, and it would be in the morning, and I would be probably in nature unless it was too cold, right? Or I'd be staring out the sliding glass door at the nature with my notebook and pen, and I would be getting still and allowing what needs to move through me to come out into that notebook. I would feng shui in there a little bit with my journaling until maybe something else is moving through. And that process for me is sometimes a whole poem or an inspired idea or whatever. So that's how I connect. Jane, how do you connect? Give me one way. If we were to peek in your window, what would we see?
Well, if you were to peek into my window, being a certified hypnotherapist, I help people find their awareness, the things that they've stuffed down, the things that cause illness, the things that cause comfort in their lives. And in order to know what you want, sometimes you have to get things out of the way that you don't want. So you might have to go through what you don't want to get to what you do want. And that's where you start. You start, pulling out some of the things that we don't really maybe want to admit about ourselves. But I do believe that everything, all the energy that we're putting out, we're attracting the same thing back to us. So if you have something in your life that you don't like, it's probably because you've got that same energy level. So awareness is raising that vibration, raising that energy level up to a point where you attract the kind of people that you want to attract, and you attract the projects and the writing and the friendships, the relationships, and love. And if you can't start by loving yourself, then it's almost impossible to love other people. It's got to start with you and your heart.
I love that, Jane. And thank you for kicking that question off. You're going to have such amazing golden nuggets of awareness from these authors, you guys, and the ways that they connect and practice this practice that has brought them to a place in their own lives where they can feel those good, juicy things that they want to feel, right? And of course, navigating the dark spaces with the light spaces is part of like how we surf these waves. And awareness is such a gift as a stepping stone. So I love it when you all talk about awareness. Glenn, if I was going to peek in your window in terms of like one of the practices you have to connect, what would that look like for you?
Typically, I start off with a meditation, and I call in my spirit guides and or the universe, and just ask for the strength to be honest with what I'm writing. And I've actually had a lot of kudos when people have read things that I've written, but at the same time, I'm my own worst critic, and as I'm writing stuff, or as I start to read something I've written, I might just describe the thing I've written as like a diaper dump or a withdrawal from a bowel bank. But once I start getting some kudos from people, my feelings about what I've written certainly change.
Well, listen, you're a musician and a poet. And so, of course, you mentioned meditation, calling in your guides, speaking out loud. Really, sometimes that was an aha for me in terms of connecting, like, oh, I can actually say it out loud and ask for my guides to come around me and help me with, and it doesn't have to be writing, you guys, it could be any situation in life, right? And so I was curious, Glenn, about music for you.
I have been a music nut since I saw Elvis on the Ed Sullivan Show. I think I was about 7 years old. And if you ask me what my musical taste is, it's very eclectic. I would say it's anything from Frank Sinatra to Frank Zappa. I can't live without music.
I love that you're giving me a little flash to my dad who passed last year, but in my dad's best moments, he was singing Elvis. I love that. I love that. All right, Bradford, how about you? If I'm peeking in and I'm seeing your practice of awareness, connection, what does that look like in your world?
Yeah, I do several things, but I really connect with the sun. In the morning, I do movements and I connect with the sun and I take the energy in and I really connect with my body, ideally in nature, and just really feel grounded on earth and connected to the consciousness of life. And then I'll do sound. I'll just tone and I will express, and that expression is an honoring of life and an honoring of the world, and just a free expression of my joy of being here. And then also the piano, I submerge myself in piano music and writing piano music, and just playing the piano is just a balm to my soul. And that really sets the tone and cultivates the inner vibration for me to sit down and then work on whatever projects I have at hand. Yeah.
Someone in the interview beforehand was talking a little bit about humming, and I know you're a fan of toning and humming, and you did a little exercise with me recently, where you helped me listen to my own voice in terms of expression, and even just in those ways that don't have to be perfect singing, y'all. It just, like, even just the humming. Anything you want to tell people about that, and as a place to start?
Yeah, yeah. The voice is the most powerful tool, and you can use it in so many therapeutic ways. Heavy energies just accumulate, just like dust accumulates, and by making sound, you can just expel those energies. And underneath those energies is, lo and behold, the light and the love that we are. It's like clouds that pass over the sun. You have energy clouds that might, fog up your heart chakra, and just making sound resonates and breaks out. It's like energetic cloud bursting for the heavy emotions in your aura and in your body. A hum, a tone. Every time you inhale, you have to exhale. So why not make a sound? And just allow yourself to without judgment to just make sound. And your body has this innate intelligence that surpasses your conscious awareness. The body knows what it needs to heal. People that don't heal aren't listening to their body, and they're not giving their body what they need. Sonic nutrients, a full balanced spectrum of frequencies is equally as important as the full spectrum of vitamins and minerals and sunlight and all that stuff. And with your vocal range, everyone can hit, within an octave, unless you're really compromised. And so within that octave are all of the frequencies that you need. So when you make sound with your voice, experiment and see just how quickly your energy shifts after one or two just inhales and sound. And it doesn't matter what the sound is. Don't get caught up in that. Just intone and express. And express is transmutation.
Beautiful. I'm so glad that I asked you that. I have had such transformative experiences by playing with this. I'm grateful for you to nudge us in that direction. And I don't know for all of you, like, who hasn't sat in their car and sang at the top of their lungs, right? Like, so that is like my favorite place, put on all the favorite songs and just go for it. But this could be anywhere with any noise, which I kind of like too. It's not always about the lyrics or the singing.
That's right.
Okay. Last big juicy question for all of you. Glenn, what is the most important thing about being brave that you want our listeners to know?
I think the most important thing for our listeners to know is that even though you may be in a state of fear, you can always walk through it. It's not a place that you have to stay. You don't have to remain there. We're all capable of walking through our fears.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that. You're giving me a visual that and of course, grab hands with these beautiful authors who will help you do that. Bradford, what's the most important thing you want people to know about being brave today?
Being brave is an act of defiance against limitations that have been imposed upon you by others, and most often yourself. When you are brave, you step out of your comfort zone and into your growth zone. And again, you can be brave at every moment of every day, and just be your truth. Just follow your dream. We have the power to shape our own realities and our destinies. And just being brave is committing to yourself, saying, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of, and I'm going to do that regardless of what any other external energies currently appear to be saying. So it's being brave is defiance against limitations.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jane, what's your version of this? What do you want people to know?
Well, I would agree with both Bradford and Glenn. And we all have these self-limiting beliefs that we picked up from the time we were born until now. And some of them just get stuck in us. And being brave is being able to unearth that, to bring it to the surface, to look at it, to use music, use tone, use movement to reset the body, the mind, the heart, the spirit, and the soul. So be brave and reset and step out into something new, try something new. And all it takes is one step at a time.
Thank you, Jane. I want to add a couple of ways I think about this for me too. Wow, I was listening to all three of you today and just I'm spinning with all of the ways we be brave and work through the things that are coming up for ourselves. Sometimes I think it's just surviving the feeling of shame in my body. And that thing that makes me start to feel paralyzed or unable to speak. Not only just surviving the feeling, but then maybe opening my mouth and calling it out. And in that moment of courage that I curate, where I can speak it, typically, even out loud to myself is nice. But if there is a witness in the room, if there's a trusted person who can help with that active listening, then shame will dissolve almost magically. And so there's been moments in my life where I've had to speak with that feeling in my body. It can be so excruciating, but then so liberating. And I encourage people to think about that if you're having that feeling in your body. I'm also so guilty of making that feeling mean a lot of extra things in my head, right? And so when I notice I'm doing that and I can just relax with it's a feeling, right? It's a feeling in me. It's maybe making me feel like I'm going to die, but it's still this feeling that I'm making mean extra. And if I can take all that baggage off and be with myself there and then speak it out loud. So yeah, thanks you guys for helping me come to that little bit about my own being brave today. Glenn, Bradford, Jane, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thank you for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Guys,
you. It's been fun.
This is way, way more than a book. So if you heard something today that's giving you the goosebumps, or maybe you have a question or you need some support, I have all of our authors hooked up down below with their websites. Please reach out to them. They're there to answer a question, to help you on that next step of the journey. I'm so proud of this community and honored and grateful to be playing in the sandbox with all of you who are really out there changing the world, changing lives. They're there for you guys. You're not alone. You can also join us for a book launch party on Zoom coming up on October 24th. I'm going to have all the How to Be Brave authors there, and I've got information on that down below. Please hop over to Amazon, grab your copy of this gorgeous, powerful book. You guys are going to be amazed at the toolkit you have, the very personal stories, the incredible experiences you're going to have with these master teachers' tools. So you can hop over and grab your copy today. Lastly, today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.